Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Malaysia Madani dan salam UITM di hatiku. To our esteemed and honorable guests, His Excellency Datuk Syed Muhammad Bakri Syed Abdul Rahman, Ambassador Designate of Malaysia to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Adjunct Professor, Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Study, FSPPP. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dato' Dr. Shahrin bin Sahib, Vice Chancellor University Teknologi Mara Malaysia, Profesor Tifawa Larsunawarat, President of National Institute of Development Administration Thailand, Yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Nur Hafizah Muhammad Harith, the Dean Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Study, FSPPP, University Teknologi Mara, Yang berusaha Dr. Suhaimi Abdul Samad, Chairman of the International Conference on Public Policy and Social Science, ICoPS2025. Yang berusaha Dr. Sharifah Fatihah, the Deputy Dean of Academic Affairs of Faculty Administrative Science and Policy Study, FSPPP, University Teknologi Mara, Malaysia. A very good morning to the distinguished guests, management team of FSPPP, guests, participants, my dear colleague, students, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the International Conference on Public Policy and Social Science ICoP 2025. I am Nurul Nabila Yahya from the Faculty of Administrative Science, Policy and Studies, UITM, as your host for today's ceremony. For the guest informations, ICoP started in 2011, has been physically formatted and has changed to the virtual mode during the pandemic COVID and affecting the country and worldwide. This year ICoP event is conducted in the hybrid mode and jointly organized by these two esteemed institutions, UITM and NIDA, with the themes of harmonizing governance and social science for cohesive society. Now, let's put our hands together in welcoming Yang berusaha Professor Dr. Nur Hafizah Muhammad Harith, Dean Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies, FSPPP, University Teknologi Mara, to deliver her welcoming speech. Over to you, Prof.
Datuk Syed Muhammad Bakri Syed Abdul Rahman, Ambassador Designate of Malaysia to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk TS Dr. Shahrin Shahib at Shahibuddin, Vice Chancellor University Teknologi Mara. Profesor Tipawan Wanarat, President of the National Institute of Development Administration Thailand. Yang berusaha Dr. Suhaimi Haji Abdul Samad, Chairman of the International Conference on Public Policy and Social Science, ICoPS 2025, Deputy Deans and Management of FSPPP. Honorable guests, distinguished scholar, practitioners, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. It is with a great honor and immense pleasure that I welcome each and every one of you to the International Conference on Public Policy and Social Science, ICoP 2025, with the theme Harmonizing Governance and Social Sciences for a Cohesive Society. This theme is both timely and meaningful as it speaks to our shared responsibility to address the complex and interconnected challenges of our time, challenges that transcend borders, disciplines, and sectors. This year's conference is even more special as it is organized collaboratively with our esteemed partner, the National Institute of Development Administration, NIDA, Thailand. And this partnership reflects the true spirits of regional and international cooperation in advancing scholarship, governance, and social sciences for the benefit of society. I would like to begin by extending my deepest appreciations to our Vice Chancellor of University Teknologi Mara, UITM, for graciously officiating this conference. Your presence and support reaffirm UITM's commitment to academic excellence, research advancement, and global engagement. We are also truly honored to welcome His Excellency Datuk Syed, Ambassador Designate of Malaysia to Saudi Arabia, as our distinguished keynote speaker. It will indeed be a privilege to listen to your insight on the intersection of governance, social sciences, international relation, and diplomacy, areas that stands at the very heart of today's global discourse. Ladies and gentlemen, the strength of ICoP 2025 lies in the breadth and depth of its 8 carefully selected sub-themes, each reflecting a crucial dimensions of today's pressing issue. Innovation for Sustainable Development aims at exploring creative strategies and policies that balance economic growth, environmental stewardship, and social well-being to secure a better future. Social science and human development, which focus on analyzing the role of social sciences in shaping societies, improving quality of life, and advancing human capital. Effective governance and public administration is about discussing best practices and reforms to ensure accountability, transparencies, and responsive institutions. Social justice and equity focus on addressing persistent inequalities, promoting fairness, and ensuring that no group is left behind in the development process. Responses to global social issues is reflecting on collective strategies to confront challenges such as migration, poverty, health crisis, and climate change. The role of technology in public policy and social research aims at examining how digital transformation and data-driven innovation are reshaping policy making and research methodologies. Education and training for future leaders are focusing on nurturing the next generation of leaders who are equipped with the knowledge, ethics, and global competencies. And finally, cultural dynamics is about recognizing the importance of cultural values, diversity, and identity in fostering social cohesion and resilience in a globalized world. Together, this sub-theme framed ICoP 2025 as a space for deep reflection and constructive dialogue, allowing us to generate actionable insight that can inform both policy and practice. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take a moment to highlight the rich and meaningful lineup of programs we have prepared for ICoPS 2025. The journey began with our pre-conference masterclass, designed especially to equip and inspire early career scholars and researchers. This masterclass comprised 3 highly valuable sessions on crafting a compelling research proposal by our very own faculty member, Professor Dr. Fadila Puteh. Using AI ethically for academic research by Dr. Muhammad Azli Shah Othman from University Technical Malaysia, Melaka, UTM, and publication strategy for meeting graduation requirement by Associate Professor Dr. Najiha Hanisah Marmaya from University Malaysia Sabah. These sessions are crucial in building the next generations of scholars who are both competent and ethical in their pursuit of knowledge. And yesterday, the conference began with a forum on governance that was considered compelling, stimulating, and thought-provoking. I had the opportunity to share the session with our distinguished panelists, Associate Professor Dr. Danuva Sagarit from the National Institute of Development Administration, NIDA, Thailand, and Dr. Noor Das Rafizal bin Abdul Shukur from Akademi Kenegaraan Malaysia, AKM. Their deliberations have set the tone for rigorous and insightful discussion. Following the forum, we have hosted 6 parallel sessions and with 45 quality research papers presented across the 8 sub-themes reflecting the diversity and richness of scholarship in governance and social sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, the International Conference on Public Policy and Social Sciences, ICoP, is a biennial gathering that represents a significant milestone in the academic calendar of the Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Study. Despite the considerable hurdle we have faced, FSPPP remains steadfast in its dedication to this vital initiative. Through creative and innovative strategy, we have ensured that ICoPS continues to thrive as a premier forum dedicated to several critical objectives, increasing the volume of scholarly publication, disseminating essential knowledge, sharing impactful research findings that can shape our world, expanding invaluable professional and academic networks, and enhancing the global visibility and reputation of both FSPPP and UITM. Indeed, FSPP aspires to be the champion of governance, public policies, and social sciences, contributing meaningfully not only to the academia but also to the advancements of society as a whole. Before I conclude, I would like to record my heartfelt gratitude to the conference chair, Dr. Suhaimi Haji Abdul Ahmad, and all organizing committee members for their great job. The dedicated ICoPS team of reviewers, our kind sponsors, and all conference participants who have chosen ICoP 2025 as a platform to share and disseminate their valuable research work. Finally, a special word of congratulations to our award winners to be announced shortly. Your remarkable achievements are a true reflection of the exemplary standard of ICoPS promotes, and we look forward to celebrating your success. With that, it is my sincere hope that these days of scholarly exchange prove to be not only engaging and enriching, but also a genuine source of inspiration. May the idea shared here spark new collaboration and drive the impactful contribution necessary to harmonize governance and social sciences, ultimately forging a more cohesive and prosperous society for all. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Nur Hafizah Muhammad Harid, for the wonderful welcoming remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, due to unavoidable technical circumstances, we are now proceed to the corporate video presentation. Therefore, please shift your focus on the corporate video for today. So, please enjoy.
As we see increasing volatility and complexity in social, economic, and political dynamics worldwide, we need more transformational leaders who can think analytically, critically, and creatively, that can bring synergy to find solutions at the local, regional, and global level. The National Institute of Development Administration, or NIDA, also has the goal of nurturing the wisdom and insights of transformational leaders from which sustainable development will emerge and thrive. Since 1966, NIDA has been producing high-quality interdisciplinary research in areas of management and development. This has been achieved through academic cooperation with top-ranked educational institutions, both in the country and internationally. NIDA is the only public university in Thailand that focuses exclusively on master's and doctoral levels with the aim of cultivating wisdom and ethics for future change leaders. Both Thai and international programs are offered by our 11 graduate schools and one college. With innovative technologies and modern learning spaces, NIDA maintains high academic quality and secures distinguished international endorsements from AACSB, UNWTO, TEDQual, and AUNQA. NIDA has state-of-the-art libraries, which have won numerous national awards, and is fully equipped with campus-wide facilities that support and enhance students' learning capacity, ensuring that each has the opportunity to reach their full potential. In terms of academic services, Sirit Patana Training Center plays a major role in designing and delivering leading-edge training programs for the private and public sectors, and in offering consulting services to a variety of organizations. NIDA continues to emphasize the importance of working with and within the community to be part of society development by initiating the NIDA for All project as a visible way to confirm this commitment. As of today, NIDA has produced more than 90,000 transformational leaders into the world. They are high-quality human resources who will continue to make significant contributions to the future of Thai society through strong networks and be a part of the global community on their journey towards sustainable development and beyond.
Thank you for the corporate video. I bet the audience is very much blown away by this amazing footage. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are honored to invite the Vice Chancellor of UiTM, Yang Berbahagia, Professor Dr. Shahrin bin Sahib, the Vice Chancellor, University Technology Mara, Malaysia, as our honorable guest to deliver an appreciating speech. Everyone, please welcome Yang Berbahagia Professor Datuk Dr. Shahrin bin Sahib.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Datuk Syed Muhammad Bakri Syed Abdul Rahman, Ambassador Designate of Malaysia to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Datuk Syed Muhammad Bakri Syed Abdul Rahman, Ambassador Designate of Malaysia to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. His Excellency Datuk Syed Muhammad Bakri Syed Abdul Rahman, Ambassador Designate of Malaysia to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, esteemed guests, Professor Tipawan Rosuwanrat, President of National Institute of Development Administration Thailand, Professor Dr. Nur Hafizah Muhammad Harith, Dean of the Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies, University Technology Mara, honorable guests, distinguished scholars, practitioners, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning, everyone. Alhamdulillah, we thank the Almighty for His grace and blessing, which have allowed us to assemble on this auspicious day. It is an honor to welcome everyone to the International Conference on Public Policy and Social Sciences, ICoPS2025, thoughtfully convened under the resonant theme, Harmonizing Governance with Social Sciences. At the very outset, allow me to express my heartfelt congratulations to the organizing committee from the Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies, FSPPP, whose tireless dedication coupled with collaboration from our esteemed international partner, the National Institute of Development Administration of Thailand, NIDA, has made this gathering a reality. The diligence and collaboration given have created a fertile ground for knowledge exchange and collective insight. This achievement reflects not only administrative excellence, but also the spirit of international cooperation, which is crucial in addressing global challenges of governance and development. Ladies and gentlemen, governance today transcends the boundaries of government, encompassing public institutions, private enterprises, NGOs, academia, and communities. The World Bank underscores the nation with robust governance system can enjoy up to 300% higher per capita income, whereas governance failure and corruption can erode over 5% of global GDP annually. The theme of this conference would not be more relevant in today's interconnected world. Governance is no longer the sole responsibility of governments. It permeates every sector, public institution, private corporation, non-governmental organizations, academia, and even communities at the very grassroots. Social sciences play such a vital role in governance. Is not about law, institutions, and procedures. It is fundamentally about people, their behaviors, values, and relationship. Moreover, social sciences help us understand why well-crafted policies sometimes fail in practice, why certain reforms succeed in one context but stumble in others, and why inclusiveness and cultural understanding are indispensable for sustainable progress. Thus, harmonizing governance with social sciences ensures that governance is not reduced to technical efficiency alone, but rather elevated to human-centered, just, and participatory practices. Ladies and gentlemen, the study of governance has evolved significantly from focusing on public administration, bureaucracy, hierarchy, and formal rules. We shifted toward public management, which brought in principles of efficiency, effectiveness, and managerial practice often borrowed from the corporate sector. We are now in the era of public governance that recognizes the complexity of modern societies and emphasizes collaboration among state actors, the private sector, and civil society. This shift is not merely academic, it is directly aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, where governance and strong institutions, which is Goal 16, are recognized as essential foundation for peace, justice, and sustainable development across all sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, progress is not merely theoretical, it is tangible and legislative. We must also recognize that governance is inextricably linked to the broader democratic fabric. The quality of governance is not an isolated metric, it is the very bedrock of a functioning democracy. The path forward is therefore clear. It is measured not in intentions, but in implementation, not in promises, but in perpetual accountable action. The governing philosophy we aim for align precisely with the core mission of this very conference, to bridge the critical gap between theoretical scholarship and actionable practice, ensuring that the pillars of integrity are not just studied, but are steadfastly implemented. Ladies and gentlemen, I am particularly proud that this conference is hosted by UiTM, an institution whose very DNA is intertwined with governance and human capital development. UiTM was founded on a powerful policy mandate to empower communities through education, a principle that remains at our core. The Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies has long championed this critical field, translating UiTM's national mission into academic excellence. Through research, education, and professional training, the faculty continues to shape the discourse on how governance can be improved in both the public and private sectors, directly contributing to nation building. With its growing international collaboration and thought leadership rooted in UiTM's philosophy of Ushah, Taqwa, Mulia, endeavor, piety, and virtue, and the pursuit of excellence through knowledge and moral values, FSPPP is well positioned to serve a significant reference point in the study and practice of governance. Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on the discussion and exchanges in this conference, let us remember that governance cannot be built in isolation. It requires partnerships across government, industry, academia, and civil society. It requires integrating insights from the social sciences to appreciate cultural contexts, behavioral realities, and institutional complexities. Most importantly, it requires moral courage, leadership, and a shared vision of justice and sustainability that we at UiTM strive to instill in every graduate. Through this platform, let us generate fresh ideas, challenge assumptions, and strengthen collaboration that will advance the practice of governance in our respective countries and institutions. Once again, thank you to everyone who has contributed to this significant event. May your experience over the next few days be meaningful, fruitful, and inspiring. With great honor, I hereby declare the International Conference of Public Policy and Social Sciences, ICoPS2025, officially open. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Professor Dr. Shahrin bin Sahib for a meaningful speech and officiating for the International Conference on Public Policy and Social Science ICoP 2025. Its Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, for your information today, we have 47 people presented in this year's ICoPS. They are experts and professionals who are joining this conference on site in Bangkok, Thailand, and online via Google Meet. All participants come together here to discuss various contributions to the body of knowledge in various disciplines and areas of public administration and governance, with the team focusing on harmonizing governance and social science for a cohesive society. Therefore, here is a montage for this year's conference. Enjoy.
On behalf of the Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Study, University of Technology Mara, Malaysia, we welcome you to the International Conference of Public Policy and Social Sciences, ICoPS 2025.
I hope the audience are enjoying the montage video of DC Conference ICoPS2025. Now, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Said Bakri Abdul Muhammad Said Abdul Rahman, Ambassador of the Zionate of Malaysia to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Adjunct Professor, Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Study, FSPPP. Dr. Said Bakri Said Abdul Rahman started his service as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 1994. He was the Director of Institute of Diplomacy and Foreign Relations, IDFR, Ambassador of Malaysia to Kazakhstan, Consul General of Malaysia in New York, United States, Consul General of Malaysia in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, as well as the Consular at the Embassy of Malaysia in Bangkok, Thailand. With his incredible insight and experience, his knowledge is very valuable for all of us to gain through today's conference. And without any further ado, I would like to invite Datuk Said Bakri Said Abdul Rahman to give the keynote speech. Please welcome His Excellency Datuk Said Bakri Said Abdul Rahman.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang bahagia Profesor Datuk T.S. Dr. Shahrin bin Sahib, Vice Chancellor Universiti Teknologi Mara, Profesor Tipawan Nur Suwanarat, President of National Institute of Development Administration, Thailand, Profesor Dr. Nur Hafizah Muhammad Harith, Dean of the Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies, Universiti Teknologi Mara, Honorable guests, distinguished scholars, practitioners, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Malaysia Madani. Good day, Kap Kun Kap. Allow me to begin by expressing my profound gratitude for the invitation to deliver this keynote address. It is both an honor and a privilege to be with you today at a gathering that brings together some of the brightest minds from across the globe to discuss the future of governance and its relation to the social sciences. I must extend my heartfelt congratulations to the organizing committee for the efforts in convening this international conference in collaboration with distinguished international partners. Your success in creating this platform of dialogue reflects not only academic excellence but also a commitment to advancing the role of governance and social sciences, shaping a more just, inclusive and sustainable world. Malaysia has long been a nation that places diplomacy and multilateralism at the heart of its foreign policy. Our foreign policy is one that emphasizes peaceful coexistence, respect for sovereignty, adherence to international law and the pursuit of mutual prosperity. From the early years of independence, Malaysia has advocated for non-alignment, multilateral cooperation and the strengthening of international institutions. We have sought to build bridges across regions, cultures and ideologies, firmly believing that small and middle powers can play pivotal roles in shaping global governance. Today, these principles remain deeply embedded in our policy framework as Malaysia continues to champion peace building, South-South cooperation and sustainable development through platforms such as ASEAN, the United Nations and other global fora. In this spirit, I find it especially fitting that we are gathered here today under the theme Harmonizing Governance and Social Sciences for a Cohesive Society. For indeed, foreign policy, governance and diplomacy cannot be understood in isolation. They are deeply intertwined with the currents of history, culture, economics and the collective behavior of societies. The social sciences give us the tools to to comprehend these complex dynamics, offering pathways to more humane and effective governance. Ladies and gentlemen, the essence of governance lies not merely in the act of governing, but in the art of balancing competing interests, mediating diverse identities, and ensuring that the voice of every citizen is heard. Governance at its core is a social construct. It is born from the values, traditions, and aspirations of the societies it seeks to serve. Here lies the natural intersection with the social sciences, disciplines such as political science, sociology, anthropology, economics, and international relations provide the analytical frameworks to study human behavior, institutional dynamics, and cultural context. When harmonized with governance, these disciplines enable policymakers to craft policies that are not only efficient but also empathetic, inclusive, and sustainable. Consider, for example, the question of global migration. The governance of migration is not solely a matter of border management or legal frameworks. It is deeply tied to sociology, the integration of communities, the preservation of identity, and the management of diversity. Similarly, environmental governance cannot be confined to regulations alone. It requires an understanding of cultural attitudes toward nature, economic systems of production and consumption, and the behavioral incentives that drive human choices. By harmonizing governance with social sciences, we empower decision makers to move beyond transactional policies toward transformative ones. Policies that do not merely react to crises but anticipate them. Policies that do not simply dictate but engage, and policies that do not divide but unite. Ladies and gentlemen, let us situate this within the broader landscape of international relations. We gather at a time of profound global interconnection where the fortunes of nations are inextricably linked through the intricate webs of trade, diplomacy, and shared challenges. Today, I want to draw our attention to the internal character of a nation defined by the quality of its governance. It is this foundation that ultimately determines a country's credibility, its influence, and its ability to thrive within the community of nations. Poor governance, specifically specifically systemic corruption, does not merely tarnish a nation's image, it actively dismantles its strategic power and cripples its economic potential. To understand this interplay, we must first situate it within our current reality, a landscape defined by three seismic shifts. First, we operate in a multipolar world order. The rise of emerging economies alongside established powers has created a complex geopolitical environment. This new order demands governance models that are inclusive, adaptive, and responsive to diverse global voices. In this context, diplomacy is elevated from mere negotiation between states to a dialogue across civilizations, cultures, and knowledge systems. Second, we are bound by inescapable global interdependence. The pandemic was a stark reminder that a health crisis in one nation can trigger economic shock waves across the globe. Climate change, cyber threats, and financial instability recognize no borders. This interconnectedness means that governance can no longer be insular. It must adopt a multilateral lens, drawing upon the insights of the social sciences to foster the trust, solidarity, and cooperation that are the very oxygen of international relations. And third, We are navigating a deep and pervasive crisis of trust. Globally, confidence in public institutions is eroding. The most recent Edelman Trust Barometer reveals that only 40% of people believe their governments will do what is right. This erosion is not a passive statistic. It actively undermines democratic governance and creates fertile ground for populism and disinformation. Rebuilding this trust is our paramount task, and it requires policymakers to harness the tools of the social sciences, authentic engagement, strategic communication, and evidence-based policy to reconnect with citizens and restore legitimacy. As Kofi Annan once noted, good governance is perhaps the single most important factor in eradicating poverty and promoting development. His words ring truer than ever, but we must now expand their scope. Good governance is essential not only within states, but also between them. It is the foundation of effective diplomacy. Let us consider the evidence. Data from World Bank's worldwide governance indicators show a staggering correlation. Countries with high scores in the rule of law and government effectiveness enjoy, on average, 3 times higher per capita income than those with weak governance. The OECD confirms that trust in public institutions is directly correlated with social cohesion and economic resilience. Societies that trust their governments are more adaptable, more compliant with collective measures, and more forward-looking. In addition, studies from prominent institutions like the Brookings Institution reveal that nations with transparent governance are seen as more credible actors on the world stage. Their diplomatic commitments are trusted, thereby strengthening their bargaining power in international negotiations. This brings us to the hard consequences for any nation when this foundational trust crumbles. We can look at nations blessed with immense potential, yet their progress is held in check by a deficit of governance. In such context, a perception of systemic corruption becomes a severe brake on advancement. This is a challenge in various parts of the world, including in several African countries. It creates an environment where international capital is hesitant to invest and where trade relationships, especially with partners who prioritize transparency, become fraught with complexity. In some Southeast Asian countries, corruption creates bureaucratic friction, inflates costs, and fosters an environment of legal uncertainty that deters long-term investment and stains their global credibility. In extreme cases, governance failures have led to international sanctions, the withdrawal of foreign businesses, and a devastating loss of diplomatic standing. But the impact of poor governance extends far beyond economics. It is a primary enabler of transnational insecurity. Weak governance creates ungoverned spaces and corruptible institutions that transnational criminal networks eagerly exploit, as seen in some countries in South America. It directly compromises border security. When border officials are underpaid and oversight is weak, bribery becomes a gateway for human trafficking, smuggling, and the flow of illicit weapons. This does not just threaten one nation, it exports instability to its neighbors and partners. Perhaps most critically, poor governance undermines a nation's position in territorial disputes. A country that cannot document its own policies, enforce its own laws, or present a consistent, transparent administrative record lacks the foundational evidence to assert its claims credibly in international courts and diplomatic fora. It cannot project the stability and reliability required to be a trustworthy steward of contested territories. Conversely, a nation known for its strong rule of law and transparent institutions carries immense credibility into any negotiation, its claims backed by the weight of its governance. These are not isolated incidents, they are proof of a universal principle. A reputation for integrity is a nation's most valuable currency, and the rule of law is the foundation upon which lasting, profitable, and secure international partnerships are built. Ladies and gentlemen, so we arrive at the crucial question: how then do governance and diplomacy intersect? How does the internal character of a nation manifest on the global stage? The answer is that they are not separate realms. They are deeply fused, each giving life and force to the other. It begins with the bedrock of all influence, legitimacy and credibility. Consider this: a diplomat's briefcase is filled with more than just position papers. It carries the weight of the nation's character. A government that enjoys the genuine trust of its people, that governs with transparency and accountability, arrives at any negotiating table with an immeasurable asset, credibility. His word is its bond because its actions at home prove it so. Conversely, a state plagued by corruption or internal instability often finds its diplomatic voice weakened, its promises mapped with skepticism, its power to persuade is eroded from within. This foundation of credibility allows for policy consistency and a steady hand that guides international engagement. Effective governance creates structures that ensure continuity and strategic coherence in foreign policy. It allows our diplomats to negotiate not from a place of fleeting political whim, but from a position of clarity and long-term vision. This predictability is the currency of trust in international relations. It assures partners that the agreements signed today will be honored tomorrow, that alliances are built not on shifting sand, but on the foundation of principle and stable governance. Beyond the negotiating table, this integrity becomes the engine of soft power and public diplomacy. As Joseph Nye explained, true power in the 21st century is not merely about military might or economic strength, it is about the power to attract, to co-opt, and to inspire. Nations with inclusive governance, vibrant civil societies, and a steadfast commitment to human dignity do not need to coerce, they attract. Their culture, their values, and their institutions become beacons of positive influence. They win the argument without raising their voice because the quality of their society speaks for itself. And ultimately, the connection between sound internal governance and adept diplomacy is our most potent tool for conflict prevention. Research shows that fragile governance is the most significant predictor of conflict. Therefore, diplomacy cannot simply be about managing crises, it must be about addressing their root causes. It must be informed by a deep understanding of governance, of how to build accountable institutions, foster social inclusion, and establish the rule of law. By strengthening governance, we do not just build stronger nations, we build more peaceful regions and a more secure world. We move from treating the symptoms of instability to curing the disease. In essence, governance is the soil from which effective diplomacy grows. You cannot have a foreign policy that is strong, credible, and influential if the domestic ground from which it springs is weak, corrupt, or fractured. The two are inextricably linked, one giving meaning, power, and purpose to the other. Ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on the theme of this conference, how do we harmonize governance with the demands of this new world? The social sciences provide our roadmap. First, we must integrate evidence-based policy. We must ground our decisions in sound methodologies, ethnographic studies, and historical analysis, moving beyond ideology to embrace facts. Second, we must foster participatory governance by applying insights from sociology and political science. We can design mechanisms for meaningful citizen engagement, tapping into the collective wisdom of our societies and enhancing legitimacy from the ground up. Third, we must build cross-disciplinary dialogue. The challenges we face are multidimensional. Economists, anthropologists, political scientists, and environmentalists must break down silos and work together to design policies that are holistic, not fragmented. Fourth, we must embed cultural sensitivity into the very heart of our diplomacy. Anthropology teaches us that culture shapes perception. Diplomacy that respects and understands cultural context is diplomacy that succeeds in building genuine long-term partnerships. And finally, we must strengthen our multilateral institutions. Theories of international relations emphasize that strong institutions foster cooperation. We must champion inclusive governance within these global bodies to effectively address our shared challenges from climate change to transnational crime. Ladies and gentlemen, the path to greater global influence, to sustainable prosperity, and to a stable and secure world order does not begin in a foreign ministry or at a trade negotiation. It begins at home. It begins with the unwavering daily pursuit of good governance, with transparency, with accountability, with an absolute commitment to the rule of law. This is how we build trust. This is how we build credibility. This is how we secure our borders and strengthen our hand in diplomacy. In the end, the most powerful foreign policy any nation can ever have, the strongest guarantor of its security, and the most compelling advocate for its territorial integrity is the solid integrity of its governance at home. As we live in a time of unprecedented challenges and opportunities, the convergence of governance and social sciences is not an abstract ideal, it is a practical necessity. Without it, governance risks becoming technocratic, detached from the realities of human life. With it, governance becomes transformative, capable of shaping societies that are just, resilient, and forward-looking. As the Nobel laureate Amartya Sen reminds us, development has to be more concerned with enhancing the lives we lead and the freedoms we enjoy. This profound statement encapsulates the essence of harmonizing governance with social sciences. Governance must be human-centered, rooted in freedom, dignity, and shared prosperity. In closing, let me once again commend the organizing committee for bringing us together under this timely theme. May our deliberations in this conference not only enrich our academic understanding but also inspire practical innovations that can shape policies, strengthen diplomacy, and foster a more harmonious global community. Let us leave this conference with a renewed commitment to harmonize governance with the insights of social sciences, for it is in this harmony that we shall find the keys to peace, prosperity, and progress for all humankind. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Kita korang 2 minit ni. Thank you very much, Dr. Said Bakri Said Abdul Rahman, on the speech delivered. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's move on to the most anticipated moment of all, the award recipients' announcement for International Conference of Public Policy and Social Science ICOP 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, let's watch together the video for announcement. Congratulations to all the winners. The hard work and dedication definitely earned all of you the title. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now approaching to the end of today's ceremony. Hence, let's put our hands together to welcome our conference chairman for ICoP 2025, Yang Berusaha, Dr. Suhaimi Abdul Samad, to deliver his closing speech. Over to you, Doctor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Datuk Sheikh Muhammad Bakri Sheikh Abdul Rahman, Ambassador Designate of Malaysia to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Shahrin Sahib, Vice Chancellor Universiti Teknologi Mara, Professor Dr. Tipawan Lorsuan Narat, President of the National Institute of the Development Administration Thailand, Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Nur Hafizah Muhammad Harith, Dean, Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies, UITM. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that we finally conclude the International Conference on Public Policy and Social Sciences ICoPS 2025, held in the vibrant city of Bangkok, Thailand, and accessible globally through our hybrid format, both on-site and online for the past 2 days. This conference reflects our commitment to broadening academic engagement and fostering international collaboration. This year's theme, Harmonizing Governance and Social Sciences for a Cohesive Society, highlights the importance of interdisciplinary collaboration in addressing today's complex societal challenges. 47 papers were presented, and our presenters came from 4 countries with a very interesting topic. ICoPS 2025 is more than a conference. It is a platform for dialogue, learning, and collaboration. I believe all participants had the opportunities to engage fully, exchange ideas, and build connections that will contribute to meaningful progress in public policy and social sciences. Thank you to all participants who actively involved and engaged with various activities such as masterclass, academic forum, parallel sessions, and keynote address from our distinguished speakers. Hope all of us will bring a very beneficial takeaways from this conference. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the National Institute of Development Administration, NIDA, Thailand, for their vital role as a co-organizer. Their active involvement and generous support have been instrumental in shaping this conference. I also wish to express my deep appreciation to the top management of University Technology Mara UITM, reviewers, our sponsors, partners universities, and all participants for their invaluable contributions. Let us conclude this ICoPS 2025 by thanking especially to our dedicated working committees whose tireless efforts and commitment have made ICoPS 2025 possible. Your professionalism and teamwork are truly commendable. Thank you for being part of this journey. See you in ICoPS 2027. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Yang Berusaha Dr. Suhaimi Abdul Samad, for the amazing closing speech. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the end of this year ICoP 2025. With the remaining time we had left, why not we cherish this moment together with our last photography session virtually? Please switch on your camera to take the photo together. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on the count of 3, I would like everyone to say one more last time, ICoPS. All right, on the count of 3, everybody. 1, 2, 3, ICoPS.
ICoPS.
Okay. Beautiful. Another trial for the last one. 1, 2, 3, ICoPS. Beautiful as always. Thank you, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, our honorable guests, excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your participation and patience. We are also like to apologize if there are any mishap or mistake throughout this conference this year. We really hope to see you again in the next conference in 2027. Thank you again, and I hope all of you have a very good day ahead. Live from Malaysia, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a kind reminder, don't forget to fill out our feedback form through the QR code provided through the screen. Assalamualaikum everyone.
Thank you.